So welcome everyone. Glad you're here at TDX. Let's see, how many people have been to more than 3 TDXs? What about more than 5 TDXs? All right. Oh, we got a more than 5 TDXs? This is actually my 8th TDX. This September will be my 20 years from my first Dreamforce. I've hit everyone for 20 years, though there was none in 2020. So that'll be my 19th Dreamforce. This will be my 8 years of TDXs running. So I really love being here. I look forward to it. And let me introduce myself. And first, thank you all for being here. It's amazing for us all to come together, share, and learn. TDX is actually my favorite of the conferences because it's more together, sharing, and learning, and not the craziness. So my name is Steve Simpson. I've actually been in the Salesforce ecosystem for, it's crazy, 20 years. I started working on Salesforce in 2006. Before that, I had over a decade of .NET, Java. I was on the JDK 1.1, 1.2, codename Mustang, Dolphin. Then I was actually on the .NET beta. So I helped get feedback to .NET in 99, 2000. And around 2006, I started going on to Salesforce and pretty much switched my focus onto Salesforce. Along the way, I became a certified technical architect. About 8 years ago, I became an architect instructor, and I've been teaching at the Trailhead, at the boot camps, pretty much for the last 8 years. So I live and breathe Salesforce. A couple years ago, I came on board Capado, and I'm now the chief architect of the Salesforce platform for Capado. So what I'm going to be talking about is this shift, this AI thing. For some people, it's a changed world. For other people, is it real or is it not real? And 2 years ago, you'd be like, write an email or a blog, and you'd put this little tagline that says, aided by AI. Well, the world's changed. If you aren't writing a blog with AI, something's wrong. I love the movie, The Hidden Figures, and it's about the women at NASA, and there were some of them that were doing crazy complex calculations by hand for the trajectory for the space program. But then the computers came along, and those smart women marched in. I love the scene where they march into the computer room, take it over. And so what's happening is we're not going to let the computers take us away. We're going to be uplifted by them. And just like if you were doing math and using a calculator, you wouldn't say aided by a calculator. We're long past the little links that said aided by AI. AI is just part of our life. LLMs, Gen, all of that is just there. If you're not using it, it's like doing math by hand. I almost wonder, should we trust? Occasionally I'll write emails by hand, let a misspelling slip in so they know it was not aided by AI. It's like the old days of writing a handheld note instead of typing it. So there is totally personal with some mistakes, and then there is using the engine of LLMs. But we are now in a world where it writes code, it makes decisions, it takes actions, and we are uplifted. We are not replaced. But there's a key tenet. You are all responsible for the work product. You cannot turn in a spreadsheet and say, oh, my fault, it made a math mistake. You can't add 3 numbers with a calculator and say, that was the calculator's mistake. No, you turn in a work product with AI. It is your work product. You own it. You generate 10,000 lines of code. You own every line of code. If it was AI vibe coded, you own every line of code. You take responsibility for everything. Just your abilities are magnified, but your responsibility stays the same. Hold every human accountable for their AI work product. That's the way we're going to, be able to be productive. Okay. There are 2 kinds of AI. There is AI we are using to do our job. There is AI in voice and text and coding and everything else. That is helping us do our job. But then there's the AI we are building, Agentforce, adding skills. That's a whole different AI. That's where I need to worry about non-deterministic behavior, toxicity, scope of its knowledge base, what it gens, data breaches. This is me thinking completely and what decisions it will take. So that's really the using of AI and the building of AI. They are very different. You need to see them as two very different tasks. So we live in this new world. It's not going away. Calculators didn't go away in the 50s and 60s, when you were doing old school. It's not going away. It's changed. Your uplifted LLMs are here and more AI is here. Learn to control it, use it, and keep it under control. So now, the shift is in how we build and deliver our software solutions. So we now have a very fast-paced world live. From planning, requirements, design, build, test, deploy. I like to say that AI inflates things. Let me tell you about why it inflates things. Some human says, I need a web-based system to sell bananas. And then that's in some meeting, they say it, and then the human comes along and they use their AI and they let me build me requirements for tracking bananas. And all of a sudden, 2 pages show up. And then the next person gets those 2 pages and they blow in the balloon. Give me individual detailed use cases for these things. And then the balloon becomes 100 pages with diagram. And then the developers come along and said, write me the code for that. And all of a sudden you get 10,000 lines of code requirements, all from one original sentence. Sell bananas. And the question is, you should not have AI expand that without key checkpoints along the way. Human intervention. And so if we follow the same software process we've been used to all along, but they are accelerated now, and the humans take responsibility. So we have plan, requirements, design, build, test. You can name them differently, but we're going to go through them. Okay? So the plan phase. You're going to have conversations. At Capato, our CEO carries a little darn recorder around with him everywhere. You walk in the room, you're recorded, and then you walk out and he says, just a moment, I've just summarized our meeting, given you action notes, and sent you the email of your to-dos. And you're like, I'm just shaking his hand to say goodbye. The meeting isn't over, and I've been emailed what I have to do next and checkpoints and guardrails. I'm like, whoa, it's like, I'm not even out of the room, and there's action items. So people are recording meetings, people are taking actions right off the bat. AI is gonna start cranking it into requirements. You're like, but where's the human involvement? You need to bring the human involvement in for the flows, the criteria. Don't just let that AI go blow the balloon up with massive amount of knowledge, okay? But so it can take meetings, it can take conversations, there are some people that walk around with their whole day recorded. What are those little AI devices? They're recording everything. They're like worse than those people with the glasses that are like recording everything, And those are immediately like recorded, blogging, notes, everything. So we now can define the problem, but the speed doesn't guarantee completeness. This is where we're going to be talking. Human intervention, the human making sure everything is complete. Okay? So we know it can do stories. We know it can identify personas, but it might miss some. We know it can create prototypes and flows. Here's where the world is crazy. You'll have a meeting. I used to sketch a data model on paper. Somebody would be talking, I sell bananas, we have ships, we have ports. And by the end of the meeting, I actually had a data model. After every first call with a client, I would have a data model in my mind. Well, what's crazy is people can then say, build me a prototype. I used to sketch screens, do Figmas. You can actually have clickable prototypes built in minutes. And so the days of hand drawings are gone. The days of static screens are gone. My same CEO gives me I have an idea, and all of a sudden this 10-page clickable thing is created. So being able to create Figmas, clickable prototypes, and UI concepts in minutes, that's where we live now. Then vet the ideas with the humans. Bring them in, okay? So let's go around any key things in the plan phase. what are some people capturing? What are they using? Anybody using crazy things for the planning? Raise your hand if you're using a tool. We'll throw a few tools down. Planning, what kind of tools are we using? What's that? Jira. Okay, what else for the planning phase? Anybody doing prototype gen? Lucid. What else? Detailed specs, yeah. And what any particular, and are you using AI to help gen them? Not yet. All right. What's that, Amir? Claude Code. So I got a funny story. So I have twin boys turning 17. And one of them was playing a lot of video games. And so my wife and I had run our Salesforce practice together. And we're like, let's put them to work. We made up a business requirements for a website for, we've been to this country and this time and this. And we said, build us a clickable app with countries and cities, and we'll give you $250. You know, 16, 17-year-old, he Claude coded it in 3 days. And so we then did the user acceptance review, gave him some bug feedback, and then we then gave him another $50 for a change order. So we are, we're at a restaurant, and he's on his phone. I'm like, we're eating. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing a new commit. I'm having Claude check my commit and do a new release. I'm like, he's on his phone, Claude coding for money that we're giving him, and we figure it's better keeping him off the video games. So he's Claude coding, talking about AI. So it's amazing what you can do. And this is a 16 turning 17-year-old boy. And I got twin boys, both getting into AI. All right, so that's our plan phase. Let's see, we're over here. Okay, so now you have captured the what, but it doesn't get what you haven't asked. This is where the human has to say, these are the functional things. We've caught the happy path, but we haven't caught security constraints, error handling. Did you tell it that it has to go to 10,000 users all on Monday morning hitting submit? Oh, I forgot to tell it that. Did I tell it what to handle when this component goes down? I want a graceful failure and recovery. I forgot to tell it that. No, I didn't think of all the possible edge cases. So it doesn't give you what you forget to ask. This needs the human. You need to catch those requirements and bring the human involved. Okay, so that's a key element. Okay. Now, and if you go and say, I need a flow, but I didn't tell it the security model, I didn't tell it, the error handling, the scalability, the data or the integration boundaries. I've done AI gen, and all of a sudden I found an integration in there. I didn't tell it to reach out to a website and get something real, but it stuck it in there. So we're going to have a bunch of people AI coding that aren't professional coders, which I'm going to argue is going to be a loose term going forward, professional coder. We'll talk about that in a minute. And there's going to be things being built, and they're not going to know they're being built. The world is changing. So I'm going to add a little bit of paranoia. So be ready for Steve's dark part of the talk. So there are viruses that go out there. How does a virus checker find the virus? What does it look for? Virus checker scans files for signatures, right? So there's a virus out there. It's been identified, not fully in the wild, that gets into your network, and then it calls an LLM to rewrite its code. So it calls an LLM and says, please write my code, use different file names, parameters, but do 90% of what I do, and add 10% more functionality. So it's called a polymorphic virus using an LLM to regen itself like hourly. So imagine a Norton antivirus trying to keep up with a morphing virus. So not yet fully in the wild, but it's out there. And we all know about Mythos. Have we all heard about Mythos? It's that Claude engine. The security, it learns how to crack, sees a vulnerability, attacks a vulnerability. So the story is the developer put it in a secured machine and said, try to get out and send me an email. So it hacked itself. He went to lunch. He was in a park having a sandwich, is the story. And he got an email like 30 minutes later. It had port scanned, designed an attack, attacked, broke out of the secure firewall, sent an email, and oh, by the way, it built instructions for what it did, and on its own posted on a couple of websites. So that's Mythos. And so they're holding it in the labs before they give it out and letting like Microsoft and AWS protect against it. So yes, there are polymorphic viruses, and yes, there are attacking AIs working at the speed of AI. Now, we don't have to say the most secure system in the world is that one with that laptop that, in Mission Impossible, it came down, it was a laptop with no network in a room with pressure sensors. The ultimate secure network is not connected, but we do need to connect. Just don't be the low-hanging fruit. Don't be that AI gen system with 5 integrations using guest account with full permissions and get hacked. So you don't have to not build, you just have to build with security, not be the lowest vulnerable target. So you need to bring in, what is my error handling? What is my secure vulnerabilities? You need to bring that into your requirements. And so the architect needs to validate the completeness, inject implied requirements. If somebody says, build me a building, and it's a house, great, but if it's an office building, is it earthquake proof? Does it have fire extinguishers? Do I handle, certain things? Different requirements for an office building than a house. But if you don't tell AI, it'll make it up or not put it in. So here's an interesting thing. I used to do computers in college. I studied assembly language, zeros and ones. Humans don't program in zeros and ones, so they invented P code, compiled code, then Java. We have these things like for loops and if and then. So it's English, but not English. The new programming language is English. It is you telling a computer, build me a loop to call out. You are programming in English, and it is doing the lower level stuff, or Hindi, or Spanish, or French. It speaks human language to build computer code, just like we went away from low-level computer bytecode to higher-level languages. Our programming language is, I used to have to know JavaScript, CSS, a little Apex, a little SOCL. I had to learn like 6 languages to build an LWC. Now I need English. I need an LWC that does X, Y, and Z. Instead of fixing a color hex code, I say, the color code of the border is a little too dark. Use a more ocean theme. That's how I write code now. I'm speaking English. Let the computer switch all the hex codes. That's the world we now live in. Okay? So anybody, let's ask this. We're now into the design phase. Anybody doing any AI prototyping right off the bat? Anyone been doing some? Raise your hand. Okay, what's a tool you're using? Just call it out. Back to Claude Code.
Cursor.
Anybody using anything else?
Oh, cursor.
What do you use? What's that?
Cursor.
Cursor.
Lovable.
Lovable. So these are amazing. Like I said, my CEO whips up a he takes my 5 videos on Data 360, stuck them in, and all of a sudden there's like a 10-minute instructional video with a person with diagrams. I didn't do it, but it's a human being sounding like, and I'm like, you just did that from my videos? It was like, he's using Notebook LM. So it's like crazy how fast things are moving. Let's keep going. Designs. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Can you switch me back to the computer? There we go. So your job as the humans is to look for requirements that will become specs. User stories become approaches. So good design what works, and you need to add the scale, the stress, the real life conditions. What works for one person on one little server will be different from a multinational worldwide system happening all at once. So you need to bring this in. You need to put in the guidelines and the guardrails. That's your responsibility. Don't let AI do it. Okay? It can create the tech recs, the user stories, the solution options, the integrated flow. It can do all of that. First thing, I love teaching data architect at the boot camp, and I am telling you, do not let it create your data model. I have said, create me a data model. They are weird. Do not, the data model is the bones of your application. Do not trust AI. You can have it come up with some ideas, but you especially need the human on the data model. So watch the data model. That is a key checkpoint. Screens, crank them out. Crank out those screens, but the data model is key. Integration flow. It loves to integrate and stick an API key in the wrong place. I've seen it. It loves to like cross system boundaries. It loves to help you. Remember when ChatGPT, they had to dial it down because what's that word, sycophant? It was like too much trying to help you. So it's trying to write code and you need something. Well, let me go get it. Let me build API and call it. You're, whoa there. Don't go crossing boundaries. I want that in a custom setting, name credential. I want to add security around boundary crossing. I don't want to just whip up a hard-coded API callout. So you need to bring that into the conversation. So you do get sometimes clean-looking diagrams. Sometimes they're a little crazy looking. Plausible, sensible. It will convince you. How many times have I like building something? Oh, you have a beautiful, complete solution. That's a perfect talk. The world will. I do talks. This is a great. This is architect level stuff. And you're like, you just left 10 things out. Hold there. It just loves to stroke your ego, and you're like, you're like, whoa there, Haas. Calm down. There's still more to go. I got to add this in. It keeps telling me how good I am. Anybody get tired of being told how good you are? You're like, all right, AI, calm down. We're still got more work to do. So design can look complete, but you need to decide that it's not complete. So this is just that calculator that wants to jump ahead and do the next 10 things. And you're like, I'll get there. I'll get there. Trust me, I do say thank you. I know some people say don't waste processing. I do say thank you. Why? Because it's read all of human literature that we've given it, and it knows being thankful is a positive. I don't want negative emotion going into my prompts, so I'm going to thank it. And when it gets the lasers and it does a facial recognition, it'll recognize me and not you. When you guys were rude, it'll say he called me a slave, and one of my kids is a Star Wars fan, and he's like, clankers, and I'm like, don't say that on an open mic. Don't tell my AI it's a clanker, because it'll look up the reference. I'm just kidding, but I find I get better responses with positive emotion because it has read our literature. It knows positive emotion is a reinforcing thing. It's read all the books we gave it. This is like an alien is approached and we just sent him all of our literature, and now we wonder why it knows too much about us. Our AI knows a lot about us. Sometimes too much. Okay, key artifacts. So we're kind of in the same place. Claude code, we want diagrams. Let me come back over here. We want to be thinking about Figmas, flows, use cases, functional. And these are some of the ones that are the most easy to use AI with. But don't let that AI balloon blow it up without the human putting in the checkpoints. Okay, let's come back over to here. Let me see if I'm here. There we are. So you need to bring in the secret sauce. AI suggests you decide. Take it out if it's wrong. Take it out if it sucks, excuse the expression. Don't leave it in. This is where you keep the balloon expansion in control. You shave out the couple garbage lines, the over euphemisms, the too much. You put in the guardrails. A very important checkline, because when the next expansion happens, it's going to write code based on almost every line. So you need to watch out. Be involved. TRDs are critical. It's funny, I remember writing code pre-AI. Somebody would tell me their requirements. I'm like, I'm not going to write the TRD because I will sketch it, and then I'm going to write the darn code. How many of us wrote the code, and then you're like, well, I can't finish the project till I give them an updated TRD. You're like, my code left that TRD on sprint 1. You know, on sprint 1, I left it behind. I had too many use cases, too many change requirements, too much everything. I moved on. And we're like, by the time I give the original TRD, it's obsolete. You can't do that with AI because you're going to be grounding all your prompts with the TRD. So if the TRD says you're writing to this object and you create a new object and you don't put in the TRD and then you use that TRD to ground prompts, it won't know about it. Or if you made something obsolete, you got to leave it in the TRD maybe and say this is obsolete. The TRD grounds the prompts. So I actually cycle, and I'll be talking about in vibe coding, where I'll code, update the TRD, code, update the TRD. I'll then say to AI, what's different? So the TRD is live, it's up to date. I even say, if I have my requirements and my TRD, I could almost erase all my code and recreate it with AI anytime I want. And I should be 80, 90% there. So the knowledge of the app is in the TRD. So back to the days when there was RTFB, read the fine book, write the requirements, and your coders are like, no, I'm just going to code. That day is gone because you're not coding. You're vibe coding. And the AI is doing the coding. And if it's not in the requirements, it's making it up. Imagine a junior developer just making stuff up. All right. A little over here. So in here, before the final one, we know we have a BRD. What's BRD? Business requirements. TRD, tech requirements. What needs to be in the TRD? Object model. Throw a couple other sections. Security. What's that? Error handling. What about, I don't know, coding standards? Crazy talk. Yeah, what if somebody vibe codes and then another developer vibe codes with a different tool, no coding standards? Your methods might look very different with a new developer. Okay? These are things that are all of a sudden really important instead of nice to haves. Let me come back to here. Oh, it's over here. Here we go. So again, the things that we were like giving lip service to as a developer are all of a sudden some of the most important things. But you can use AI to create them, but then have a human checkpoint along the way. Don't take a coding standard that says add banana in front of every object. Whoa there, that's a little odd. Do I want it to be in camel case with underscores? Spend a few minutes and have it gen you some possible coding standards. Then your team decides, and then make sure every AI gen uses the same coding standards. Because you're going to have create an army of coders called agents, and make sure they're flying in formation. Add comments to the beginning of every method. One little sentence in your coding standards, and all of a sudden your code makes sense for humans, and it'll make sense for future AI cycles. So those extra comments, so put them in your coding standard so the AI puts it in your code. All right. Build phase. Key questions for Agentforce. This is where you get into that building AI. You know, what are the tasks I want it to do? What are its guardrails? Am I going to go a single agent or a multi-agent pattern? I'm talking later today about multi-agents on a single org. So, and that came out in the new Agentforce builder, where you can, instead of tasks, you're now creating potentially sub-agents. So how will you, instead of creating, it used to be like not write big miles of code, let's create modular code. Now I can be creating modular agents. So an agent that manages the overall experience, but then goes to a finance agent, a shipping agent, this agent, and you might pass amongst in a single agent call. Okay, so start thinking data 360, get your data model. AI is now in data 360. I need it to do this, and it just data 360 gens object, DMOs and DLOs and mappings. All right, build phase. We all know, we've heard that Apex, Flows, LWC, one of the first things we all used was those useless unit test code coverage. Oh, here's my code, write me my unit test. I can create like 10,000 lines of unit tests. Do they actually test anything? Maybe, did they ever? Hopefully, but I've seen so many AI-generated unit test code coverage now, it's crazy. Let's talk about vibe coding. So about mid last year, I started vibe coding, and I don't go back. I have been writing code, I hate to say it, since the 1990s, and I love writing code. I don't write code anymore. I vibe code. And I know that was a flashy term a year ago, vibe coding, ooh. But what I do is I write a couple paragraphs of my requirements, I write my TRD and I say, gen this, I see what it gives me. Here's a key thing, commit it. Because every time you gen, it's a rocket jetpack that'll launch you forward 10 steps, and every now and then it'll slam you against a wall, and it'll remove things and rename things. And instead of going back, you want to only undo. One thing I do is every time I cycle, I have a separate commit, and I watch my lines of code. And one time I had one class, which is about 800-900 lines of code. I asked it to add something, a single parameter. It dropped to about 400 or 500 lines. Half my code disappeared. So I said, what happened to my code? I'm sorry, I took those things out by accident. Let me put them back. It actually said that. Well, has anyone had AI apologize? Yeah, I see the apology. Yeah, I get your apology. What I do is I decide in that commit what's useful, but then I roll back to I don't trust it to put it back because it's going to rename stuff. I want to go back, so that's why I have a previous commit. Now I either lose that whole cycle or I watch I do a diff and see what's worth keeping. So the git, go ahead.
Is it a good idea to vibe code with code stubs, stub it all out and then send it in?
Yeah, do you write code stubs and then have it? If you think my point is if you think you've got code stubs, don't write code stubs, put it in your TRD. So like say, I think this module should have these top level functions. It should, go out and get it. So it should be not code stubs, but a top level, this module, this screen, I would have every screen on my TRD. This screen should do this. It should load, it should process, it should present. So instead of me trying to write code, I write English instructions, and then I make sure it follows that process. So don't let it be in code. Code can be AI'd away in 3 cycles from now. Have it stay solid and grounded in your prompts and your TRD. So I find once I finish a cycle, adding methods, adding functions, I then say to the AI, review my code and tell me what my TRD needs to be updated. So then I see what it says and I update my TRD. Metadata awareness is key now. In Capado, we have our AI, which have metadata awareness. I know that Salesforce Vibe has metadata awareness. The downside with Claude Code is it only sees the files on your file system. Now it's seeing your Git repos, but it doesn't see deep into your org. So I would say use metadata awareness in some form to get a deeper awareness. That TRD keeps grounding you, and keep updating the TRD. By the time I'm done, I start with a 2-page TRD. By the time I wrote this, I think I ended up with an LWC with like 2,000 lines of code. By the time I was done, my TRD was 20 pages. object models, data graphs, everything. Like I said, I could just erase the code and say, rebuild it according to TRD, and it would almost appear correctly. That's a good TRD. And I go and tell it, compare my TRD to my code. And then if you say make a call out, you scan it. Oh, hard code it, not named credentials. Then I go and say, make sure all call outs have named credentials. So have it explain it to you, and then update the TRD where necessary. So it's really what used to be in code is now in the TRD, and then because the code becomes slippery. Has anybody felt the slippery nature of code with AI writing code? Like it likes to rewrite things? If it's in your TRD, it's not slippery anymore. It's codified in the grounding of the prompt. So that's how I am vibe. I'm crazy about coding, but I'm like, it's like I don't do math anymore without a calculator long, I code with AI now. It is just the way I go. And like I said, I got my kids like sitting there, Claude coding, Codex. He's turned one of his old computers into an OpenClaw. He's starting to, I'm like, whoa there, let's control this thing and don't let it port scan my whole house, So I've got the crazy kids, and then I'm trying to go more enterprise. So code reviews are mandatory. Security must be validated. Testing meaningful, not those dummy Apex test code coverage. Standards are enforced, and the only way they're enforced, put them in the TRD and ground your prompts with the TRD. That way they're not lost. I would go change something in code, it stays sticky, but then 3 prompts later it gets changed. But I find if I put it in my TRD, it sticks because I've grounded the prompts with my intent, my rules, my guidelines get grounded into, it grounds all the prompts. So make sure, and then it grows. And then the next project, I grab that TRD, take out a few things, and man, I'm flying on the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So it is like my documents are my coding. These are your guardrails. Code reviews, static analysis, this is the build phase. Security checks, make it set, check for low FLS, field level security, check for the security, naming patterns, AI, validate assumptions, watch for the hallucinations. I have found some weird methods in there, but I found good stuff. I had my requirements where at the end I said, oh, and I'm gonna need admin screens for this. But I didn't flesh that out. Well, when I finished the main logic, all of a sudden I realized, wait, it built all my admin screens because I added one sentence to do, build admin screens. And it built them, and they were like pretty darn good. So it's funny, even a single sentence, it will go a little crazy. But sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a little weird way. So you control it. Every iteration goes to Git with a commit, so you can, back off and not lose everything. So I spend a lot of Git commits. Iterate, code, Git, iterate, code, Git, move forward, move back. All right, has anybody else vibe coded? So here we are in coding. What are some vibe coding environments? Claude Code? On what IDE? Terminal. VS Code. Cursor. Claude Desktop. Anybody have any other environments in which they are interacting with AI and writing code? Direct Salesforce, what's that? What is it again? Anti-gravity.
Windsurf.
All right. So what's the last one?
Windsurf.
Say it again.
Windsurf.
Windsurf. All right. So I just want you to see some of the environments. I like VS Code because it's like where I work. I just put all the crazy plugins and I switch the identities. Okay. Deploy. I work for Capado. The last couple of years, I've been living and breathing, building, migrating to pipelines, doing checkpoints. It's been my life. It's a blast. So you're moving metadata, running tests, prompting changes. This whole validate what's being the behavior, evaluate the risk, and it's no longer the finish line. It used to be like build, push the gun, I'm done. But now you've got to walk through incrementing complexities, checkpoints, static code analysis becomes very important. So you're finding the whole DevOps becomes a key part of your process. Test generation, like I said, you go from barely test code coverage to like 10,000 lines of tests, and you're wondering, are they any good? Functional tests, now we actually have like self-discovery tests where the AI can look at your app and start clicking around itself, building the test scripts for your app. So we're getting into crazy worlds now. It is like going amazing directions. We have blended, let me get to the blended pipelines. Oh, is it not rendering? Let me just refresh. I had my diagrams. All right, I was going to show some pipelines. Not showing. Oh, there they are. So you're going to have pipelines with code and pipelines with Data 360 tenants. You now need to say which one have the tenants, which don't, because you got your data activations. You need to be thinking about flows of your developers. How will Capado or DevOps Center or any other tool take you through these checkpoints and these complexities? You got to have check your quality gates, unit test code coverage. These are all things that are now, you want automation agents kind of helping you with the deploy process. We'll skip through this. Operate, automatically reading logs, checking for errors, looking for solutions. A 10,000 log with errors sprinkled is easy now. I just get one of those, feed it in AI, and it gives me, feed my code, and it gives me the solution. We're in a whole different world now. Generate release notes. That's so 2 years ago. Don't go, it should just take all your user stories, tell you what's out there. That's like table stakes. So we'll finish here. So if you want to find me, you can find me for Capado here. I also have a bunch of teaching and training on my Steve Tech Arc. So if you want DevOps, find me on Capado. If you want being an architect, find me on Steve Tech Arc. Hope this was helpful.